I don't care if you're brave enough to show your moon bump. I'm brave enough to show mine.
It's called getting old. That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah.
Okay, now I watched your ghost film. I watched it this morning. I didn't watch it last night when you were uploading it because it was taking ages, wasn't it, to upload? Anyway, I just wanted to clarify a couple of points. I mean, you said you lived at 86 the High Street, which was a big mansion with big rooms and things inside, but you guys actually lived in the flat, in the roof, didn't you, in the attic?
Yeah, the ceilings were a lot lower in the attic.
Yeah, so originally that would have been the servants' quarters in the top, so you didn't live in the house itself, you lived in the attic.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That was the flat in the house. Okay, that was the one thing. And the other thing I wanted to point out was
but we did treat it as our own, the whole house.
Yeah.
At weekends and evenings, obviously when the offices were open, then we were trained from when we were little to show respect. In fact, I had a school friend and her little sister's recently been in touch with me. I won't say the name, but the girl, I think she subscribes to my... Well, I'm pretty sure she does. She's on holiday at the moment. Well, she can ask her sister this story. We got a plastic cup and we got a candle and we melted it to the bottom of the plastic cup, lit the candle, it was the weekend. She'd come over for a play date. We left it on the desk and we went off. We forgot all about it. Oh my God, in a wooden house. And there'd been a bad fire there before. Anyway, we suddenly remembered, rushed back up to this guy's office, leather top desk, really expensive. The candle had fallen, set fire to the plastic cup. It had all melted. It had burned all of his leather top. Oh my God, we were shitting ourselves. We tried everything we could to clean it up. I said we could have killed everyone in the house. We left that candle lit. I scraped it all off, all this melted plastic and wax. Big hole in the leather, massive. It was irreparable. I mean, there was nothing I could do. So I quite pathetically moved his inkwell and all load of stuff over it. And it was right in the middle. And I thought, there's no way he's not going to notice that tomorrow. Went to school. It was Monday the next day. Went to school. We were both shitting ourselves all day at school. Thought, I am for the high jump over this. Got home, not a peep was said. All the solicitors went home. I went down to his office. There's nothing wrong with his desk. Now, my mate is a witness to that. I hadn't spoken to her in about, 40 years about that. There was nothing wrong with the desk. How on earth can you explain that? It was as if the house had fixed it for it. It was a very, very weird house. Very weird. It was a poltergeist. I mean, my mother knew. My mother knew, and she felt it was a poltergeist, not a ghost.
Okay, well, the other thing I wanted to mention about Lewes, the town you lived in, they used to execute people in the street, didn't they, by burning them to death?
Yeah, the martyrs, they burned them, Mary. And also, Mr. Lewes, I think I got my dates mixed up. He wasn't King George III era. He got the first Sun Alliance contract, so maybe someone out there can research Sun Alliance, but there was a certificate in the entrance hall, and the date was something like 1751, and that's way before George III, isn't it? George III was Prinny's dad. That would have been the early 18s.
1700s, George would have come along.
George II.
George came along after Anne. Anne was on the throne
I'm just saying that
in
that
1704.
Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
I think his name was John Lewis, oddly enough.
When they took Gibraltar, 1704, Queen Anne was on the throne.
Right. Well, I'm sure his certificate says 1751.
So George came after her.
It was a very, very... There must have been other lawyers in between. Holman, I think, was his apprentice, and then there'd been lots of other lawyers come and go, and Lawrence, the ultimate, Lewis, Holman and Lawrence, was my uncle Lawrence. And when my dad took over the practice and the guys before him, they just kept the name. They thought, don't keep changing the name every time there's a new lawyer, let's just stick with the name. Uncle Roy was the last one. It was a really, really, really old house. And I mean, some people have sort of said in the comments, don't be afraid of ghosts. I'm not actually. We've got our own ghost here on the boat, which we'll tell you about. I don't mind a ghost where you see a whole person. I don't really mind, see-through people and stuff like that. But what I do mind is it had a really nasty, evil atmosphere, 86 High Street, and it really latched onto me because I grew up in the house. It also latched onto one of my sisters big time, but she doesn't like talking about it. She's a devout Christian, so she is aware of their dark forces and good forces and stuff. My father just wouldn't admit it at all, not until the night I jumped all over his bed, screaming my tits off that there was a ghost in my bedroom, and he couldn't deny that one.